Rane Bohl is the next one. He's Senior Middle East North Africa Analyst at Rane Network. Rane, thank you so much for joining us. Pleasure speaking with you. Is there an underestimation of the level of escalation we could see between Iran and Israel? Have we seen the peak of it yet? And what are you making of some of the statements that are coming from Washington regarding this so far?
So I don't think we have seen the peak of escalation, but there are many steps that can still be taken in the course of this ongoing conflict before we hit kind of the absolute worst case scenario that would cause, say, a market meltdown or an oil shock. The Iranians and the Israelis have started to target one another's energy infrastructure, but they aren't targeting all of one another's energy infrastructure, and they aren't spreading beyond their own geography. So that's just one example of the ways that it can get worse if they decide that energy is a no-holds-barred target and then decide to broaden that out, especially on the Iranian side, to countries like Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. And of course, we are watching very closely for whether or not the United States decides to insert itself into the conflict as anything more than what it is right now, which is a very defensive power. It's helping shoot down some of these missiles and drones on behalf of Israel, just as it was under the Biden administration last year during the two previous attacks. But the Trump administration is volatile. They could rapidly decide to change their mind based on some provocation and decide to intervene offensively against Iran. And if that happens, then that would mean that the Iranians would have very little incentive not to cause an energy shock, not to attack the Gulf Arab states.
Ryan, do you see the possibility of energy prices escalating further from where we are? I mean, there has been a swift uptick already. Could that happen?
Well, I think that, and I really respect oil traders for working on fundamentals here. They're looking at supply, whether or not supply has actually changed, and not the perception of it, but the actual change on the ground. And I think this goes back to a lesson from 2019, where the Iranians hit Saudi Aramco, and it resulted in significant destruction, but oil supplies were not fundamentally interrupted for very long, and Aramco very quickly repaired the damage, and we all moved on with our lives from that episode. And so Iranian threats of closing the Strait of Hormuz is not enough to cause folks to panic at the moment. On the other hand, if the Iranians decide to carry out even a limited harassment campaign in the Strait of Hormuz, I think that would cause a lot of upward pressure on energy prices across the board, because it really suggests that tankers won't be able to cross that with the freedom that they have today. And then it also very strongly suggests that the United States would get involved militarily. And again, if the U.S. is getting involved militarily against the Iranians, it suggests all of their bases within the region are targets of an Iranian retaliation, and the oil infrastructure alongside it and the gas infrastructure alongside it would be too. Got it.
Okay. Ryan, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and being with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Now viewers, just before we get to the trade setup, Tamanna, you've covered geopolitics your entire life, right? I mean, quick thoughts on this.
So, it's there are a couple of versions which are coming out of it, and one is that maybe Iran doesn't have the kind of backing that they would have hoped for yet, which is my sense. Yeah, from the rest of the Arab world. Rest of the Arab world, definitely. China and Russia, what they do next is what matters, because Iran has been a pariah otherwise, apart from China and Russia. And China and Russia have not yet come out with the big guns to help them. America also is sitting on the sidelines. Usually by this point, you would have seen a US and a UK jump in to aid. And the fact that the rest of the world is not jumped in is what is keeping markets calm, in my view. Also, if you listen to what Trump is saying, and I mean, he's saying, I'm going to strike a deal, I'm going to get them to the negotiating table. A lot of back channel stuff would be on right now. So yes, it's alarming. But the fact that the major supplies have not been impacted, they've been threatening to shut off the Strait of Hormuz, but they haven't yet, I think that's what markets are taking some reprieve from, which is why you're seeing the implied up in the green.